Once upon a time, there was a young princess. Her name was Snow White. Snow White had a white skin, red cheeks, and black hair. Sadly, Snow White's mother died a long time ago. Since that, Snow White lived alone with her father. They were very happy together. Soon, the kingdom had a new queen, and Snow White had a new mother. Go away! The queen got very angry and slammed her bedroom door. Alone, the queen looked at her magic mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, she asked, "Who is the most beautiful woman in this kingdom?" "My queen," the mirror says, "you are the most beautiful woman in this kingdom." Years passed and Snow White grew up. Snow White always walked through the village.
Sing a song of sixpence a pop.
She also sang songs with children.
Birds baked in a pie.
She gave food to the poor people. Everyone in the village loves Snow White very much. "Snow White is so beautiful," a woman said. "I wish I could marry her," a man said. But the queen didn't like Snow White. She never spent time with her. Instead, the queen talked to the mirror. "Mirror, I'm the most beautiful woman, right?" "My queen," the mirror said, "you are indeed the most beautiful woman. But now there is someone more beautiful than you." "What?" The queen shouted at her mirror. "Who is more beautiful than I am?" "Snow White, my queen," the mirror said. The queen was very angry. "Everyone says Snow White is so pretty, she's so nice, she's perfect." Well, they will stop saying it soon. That night, the queen met a hunter in the village. The hunter met the When the queen and the hunter met, she whispered something to his ear. She slipped some gold coins into his hand. The next day, Snow White walked through the village. While she was walking through the village, suddenly a stranger grabbed her. "Let me go!" Snow White cried. It was the hunter. The hunter threw Snow White onto a horse. Snow White saw black, tangled branches. Then something else caught her eye. It's actually an axe hung from the hunter's belt. Snow White was very short and scared. "Please, sir, let me go. I haven't done anything wrong." Tears slipped down on her cheeks. The hunter sighed and stopped the horse. "Hey." "You Poor child, he says. Go, but don't ever return again. The Snow White gasps. Why? It doesn't matter, the hunter said. Just go! Snow White ran and disappeared among the trees. Snow White ran deep into the forest. The branches pulled her hair. Thorns scratched her arm and hands. Snow White climbed over the rocks and the tree roots. At last, she stopped to rest. How big is this forest? Snow White said. I have walked for hours. Now I'm lost, and it's getting late. Dark shadows stretched across the forest, and the chilling wind shook the tree branches, and dead leaves blew through the air. I must find shelter, Snow White said. She looked around. Snow White looked around. But where? Snow White held her breath and stared into the darkness. Was the hunter coming back for her? Snow White ran. Branches hit her face. Her foot caught on tree roots. Ah! Snow White stumbled down on the hill. When she sat up, she saw a pair of eyes. A wolf, she thought. Growling, the wolf stepped closer. The wolf looked deep into the Snow White eyes. Suddenly, the wolf's face changed. The wolf wagged its tail and then ran off. That was strange, Snow White thought. As Snow White stood up, she saw something. She saw a faint light twinkle through the trees. Snow White gasped. I see a house. Snow White hurried to the house. She was shivering with cold. A stack of firewood stacked by the door. In the window, a candle burned brightly. Snow White bent low to knock on the tiny door. Knock, knock, knock. Hello? Is anyone home? She called. Snow White pushed the door open. A fire crackled in the fireplace. The room felt warm and cozy. There was a long, low table. Snow White thought. There is 7 plates of food, 7 forks, 7 spoons, and 7 mugs. Snow White scratched her hair. There are 7s of everything, and it's so small. Seeing the food made Snow White hungry. She ate from a plate. She drank from a mug. Then she moved to the next plate and mug. Snow White made her way around the entire table. Then she yawned. I'm so tired. In another room, Snow White found 7 small beds. I could sleep forever, she mumbled. She lay down on one of the beds. Oh, too lumpy, Snow White said. The second bed was too firm. She made her way through all the beds. Finally, Snow White found the perfect bed. She snuggled under the blankets. Then she drifted off to sleep. Seven dwarfs stormed into the house. Pigs and bag fell to the floor. Phew, one of the dwarfs said. Working in mine is hard work. I'm starving. Me too, the second dwarf said. The third dwarf nodded. And me. The dwarf sat down on the table. The fourth dwarf stared at his plate. Where's my dinner? The other dwarf looked at their plates. There were 7 gaps. The fifth dwarf jumped out of his chair. Somebody robbed us. The 7th dwarf looked under the furniture. They peeked inside the cupboard. I don't see anyone here, the 6th dwarf said. And nothing else is missing here. Next, the dwarf searched their dark bed. Ouch! Who stepped on my foot? Sorry, Oops, pardon me. Shh! The 7th dwarf said. Someone else is sleeping in my bed. He held out a candle. The 6 other dwarfs hurried over. They peered at Snow White. She's so beautiful, one said. Should we wake up her? The other dwarf said. The first dwarf shook his head. Let her sleep. The 7th dwarf looked around. But I don't have a bed. The first dwarf shrugged. We have 6 other beds. You can sleep in each one of an hour. Okay, the 7th dwarf mumbled. The next morning, Snow White woke up. 7 faces stared at her. Oh my! She sat up. We won't hurt you, the first dwarf said. What's your name? My name is Snow White, she said. My name is Star, the first dwarf said. He introduced the other dwarf. This is Mar, Par, Gar, Zar, Yar, and Star. All the dwarfs stared at Snow White. Where are you from? Mar asked. Do you have a family? Par asked. Snow White told the dwarf about her story. Zar bit his lip. I never liked the new queen. Zar nodded. She's awful. The worst, Yar said. A tear fell from the star eyes. That's the saddest story ever. Snow White, please stay with us. Snow White smiled. That sounds wonderful. We must be careful, Dart said. The queen must not learn that you are still alive. The dwarf got ready for work. We will back after dark, Dart said. Don't let anyone in. Okay, Snow White said. Snow White spent the day cleaning the house. By sunset, the soup was cooking on the stove. Snow White smiled. My new friends will be home soon. Meanwhile, the queen was standing in front of her mirror. She laughed loudly. Now I'm the most beautiful woman in this kingdom. Right, mirror? No, my queen, the mirror says. There is someone 1,000 times more beautiful than you.
My lady,
the mirror said.
Snow White is the most beautiful woman in the kingdom.
The queen gritted her teeth. Oh no, she's still alive? The next morning, the dwarfs left for the mines. Dar waved goodbye to Snow White.
Yo ho, we are the seven dwarfs. Hey, hey, we work in mines and then go back home again.
Meanwhile, the queen stood before her mirror. My queen, the mirror said, Snow White is still alive and still beautiful. The queen started to scream. Remember, Dar says, don't let anyone in. I won't, Snow White said. Snow White sweat and she sat down with the book. Knock knock. Snow White jumped up. Who is it? Just an old woman, the person said. Snow White peeked outside. She saw a woman with a long nose. Snow White thought, she's not the woman from yesterday. Please buy a comb, the woman said. I need money for food. Oh, you are hungry. Snow White felt sad. Come in, Snow White said. The woman gave a comb to Snow White. It's lovely, Snow White said. Snow White ran the comb through her hair. She fell to the floor. The dwarf arrived home. Snow White lay on the floor very still. "Oh no!" Dara cried. The dwarf tried to wake her up. "Is she dead?" Mar asked. "What is this?" Bar asked. He slowly pulled a comb from Snow White's hair. After that, the princess woke up. "That comb must be poisoned," Dar said. Zara made a face. "The queen did this for sure." Yar also made a face. "She's the worst." At a castle, the servant passed the queen's room. From an inside, he heard a terrible shout. "Ah!" She stomped her foot, she threw the hairbrush, and started to scream. "I hate Snow White." The queen took a deep breath. "I need a plant." She walked back and forth across the room. Then she stopped. "I know. I will create a poison apple. Snow White sat by the window. "Apple for sale!" the woman shouted. "Hello, dear," the woman approached Snow White. "Do you want to buy an apple?" Snow White frowned. "No, thank you," she said. "Are you sure?" The woman held up an apple. "This apple looks delicious." "What a beautiful apple," she thought. It was bright and light to see sparkle around it. "I must not trust this woman," she thought. But the apple looked so delicious. The woman smiled. "Try it, dear." Snow White gazed at the apple. "Just one bite," she murmured. Snow White's teeth sank deep into the apple. And suddenly, everything went dark. "Mirror," the queen snapped. "Who is the most beautiful woman in this kingdom?" "My queen," the mirror sound said. "You are." That night, the dwarf arrived home late. Once again, the house was dark. Snow White lay on the floor without moving. "Oh no!" Dar cried. The dwarf shook the Snow White. They shouted her name, but she didn't wake up. "Snow White is dead!" When the sun rose, the 7 dwarfs dwarfs were still crying. The dwarf built a glass coffin. They made a bed of flowers inside. Gently, they laid Snow White in the coffin. They set the coffin outside among the trees. The sun shined down on her. Inside the coffin, Snow White was still beautiful. It's strange, Zara said. She doesn't look quite dead. Yar nodded. It looks like she's sleeping. Star wiped a tear from his eye. Animals gathered around the coffin. Everyone in the forest was very sad. Birds sang sweet songs. One day, the prince was traveling through the forest. He hummed softly as he rode along. The prince passed a small house. He saw a dwarf resting on a glass coffin. How odd! The prince got down from his horse. The prince walked toward the dwarf. Hello, the prince called. The dwarf woke up with a shock. He banged into the coffin and it fell to the ground. The prince rushed towards Star. Are you okay? Yes, Star said, but someone gasped. Snow White, she's breathing! Star shouted. The prince looked down. Inside a coffin was a beautiful girl. The prince threw open the coffin lid. He helped Snow White to her feet. Thank you, sir, Snow White said. The prince couldn't stop staring at her. The other dwarf rushed over. Hooray! Dar cried. Gar picked up a piece of apple. Be careful, Snow White cried. The apple is poison. It was stuck in my throat. Something knocked it off. Star blushed. I knocked the coffin over. It was an accident. Snow White hugged him. You saved my life, Star. The prince was already in love with the Snow White. What happened to you? He asked. Snow White told him about the queen. The prince dropped to one knee. That evil woman cannot hurt you now, he said. Please marry me. The whole kingdom was invited to the wedding. When the queen arrived, she looked around. Who is the bride? She said. Then she saw her. No, not Snow White. The queen stormed out of the wedding. Soon, the queen moved to faraway kingdom. But But Snow White and the prince stay right there and live happily ever after.